what I think is the most pressing issue, or the biggest variable, shall we say, that has not been getting enough attention in the West is the fact that Xi Jinping is losing power, and losing power very quickly. In fact, he might have already completely lost power. He's only a figurehead. He's only a puppet. Although I can't say that for sure, I don't, but that seems like it's going in that direction faster than we have anticipated.
And what makes you say this? What evidence do you have for this?
Okay. Well, the most obvious evidence is his control of the military. In the Chinese communist regime, he who controls the gun controls the regime. Mm-hmm. Right? That has always been the case. But of the 7 Central Military Commission, the 7 members, the commission made up of 7 people, he's already lost 3. Removing himself, there are only 3 left. And then the 3 left are not his people. You know how they have different factions. So Xi Jinping completely lost the 3 members. 3 out of the 7 members.
So after him, there's 6 left, and he's lost 3 of the 6.
Right. And he lost 2 most important military leaders who are loyal to him. That's the 2nd vice chairman of Central Military Commission, He Weidong, who is responsible for the Taiwan operations. If a war breaks out, Vice Chairman He would be the person responsible for that. And that man is gone. And then the second person who's extremely powerful in the military is the man in charge of personnel, who's an admiral, Admiral Miao Hua. He's in charge of the political work. By political work, it means he does all the political vetting of all the officers, right? So he's in charge of personnel. That man is also gone.
What do you mean when you say gone?
Well, they're removed from their position. In the case of Admiral Miao Hua, he's officially announced he's removed from his post due to corruption. They never say the real reason, but it's always corruption.
And who are the people removing them?
The government,
okay.
The central, the state authorities.
Okay.
In the case of the vice chairman, He, the man has been missing since March. And there are so many rumors about him being arrested, investigated, and the latest rumor is that he has died. There are just so many, and it didn't came from one source, because if it came from one source, you could say, well, maybe that's, just one source, but it has come from various sources, and some people say that he committed suicide, other people say he was executed. So but everyone agrees, regardless whether the man is alive or dead, everyone agrees that he's gone. He's removed from his post because it's abnormal that he has not been seen for 2.5 months, given his position. Where is he? If he's alive, one thing that's very easy for Xi Jinping to do is just show him off. Well, there he is.
So who are the people pointing this out? Because I would imagine if you're the media in China and you start saying, oh, they whacked this guy to overthrow Xi Jinping, I don't imagine that's looked up to by the Chinese government. I imagine that you would be removed from your post if you were the media reporting on this, right?
Right. So that brings the next question: who removed these people? So the views are divided. So some people believe it's Xi Jinping himself removing his own people, but more and more people believe it's Xi Jinping's enemies removing his loyalists. Okay. And I tend to agree with the second camp. It is Xi Jinping's enemies removing his loyalists one by one from the military, and they're getting closer to him.
And who are his enemies within China?
Okay. Literally, it's almost everyone.
Oh, really?
Because he has alienated so many people.
Steve, is that your phone?
No, that's not mine.
Do you have your phone with you?
Probably.
Oh, I think it's dinging. That's okay.
Let me turn it off.
Yeah. No, you have just to put it on silent.
Yeah,
You'll be
put
fine.
on silent.
Yeah. There you go.
Where were we?
Who are his?
Let me take a sip of water.
You were saying that, you were saying that everybody in China opposes Xi, from the population to the military to the other high-ranking politicians.
Well, I mean, everyone suffered during COVID lockdowns. I mean, people have seen those videos where people were literally locked down at home for months, you know.
Did you see the videos of those cats on the side of the road in China?
Yeah,
like all these house cats, like in a giant net or a bag on the side of the road. Crazy.
Yeah, there are people who literally died from hunger because of lockdowns, and these are not people in rural villages. They're in fancy apartments in Shanghai. They're expatriates living in China and working for multinational companies
that were not allowed to get access to food because they weren't allowed to leave their apartments.
Right.
That's so crazy.
You know, I mean, Shanghai is like New York. People don't stock up food at home. They always eat out.
Right. Do you know how many people starved like that?
During COVID?
Yeah, like in their apartments because they couldn't go get food. They couldn't leave. They couldn't order food or anything like this.
I know there were a lot, you know, because I've seen videos where people, the first thing they did in the morning when they woke up is trying to buy food online. I mean, the way they bought food is online. You have to bid. You have to like grab. You have to fight because there's only so much quantities to supply everyone. So you have to kind of just fight to be the first 100 bids.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, everybody across the board in China, in the political establishment and in the military establishment, opposes Xi.
Yes.
And what are the primary reasons for this?
Well, I shouldn't say everyone. Of course, he has his own followers, right? There's in CCP politics, there's a Xi Jinping faction. He has certain people in the military and in civilian government who are loyal to him. But those people, even though these people are loyal to him, it doesn't mean that these people don't have their own independent mind or thinking. But the majority of them are fed up. Why? Well, there were several events. One is the death of the former premier, Li Keqiang, who died in October 2 years ago. I think it was 2023.
Okay.
He died mysteriously. Many people believe Xi Jinping finished him.
Okay.
Because the man was healthy. He was only in his 60s, and he was swimming, and he died mysteriously. Now, you know, CCP officials, their bodyguards and their medical services they are well taken care of. You know, there's no way he would die while swimming.
Right.
I mean, his guard would first see him struggling in the water, in the swimming pool.
This guy's a big shot.
He's a former premier. He's like the prime minister.
So he's got full security all the time.
All the time. And also the hotel he stayed in had they had like all these emergency medical establishment at the hotel, at the guest house. But when they tried to rescue him, they sent him to not a hospital known for cardiology, but they sent him to a Chinese medicine hospital. Why? And then it was further away from the hospital that's closer to the hotel.
Right.
That are known for its cardiology. So there's just so many suspicions around his death. And when that happened, it really sent shockwaves across the establishment, the political establishment. Because people think, well, if he could die, right? The second man, the second man in the government, who's a scholar. I mean, the man was harmless. He didn't even have ambition.
Right.
So that was the turning point.